Olá pessoal, eu sou Tina Medeiros e hoje Pipoca Gigante está aqui no Copacabana Palace. A gente veio conversar com ninguém mais, ninguém menos que Justin Timberlake, que veio para o Rio para o Rock in Rio e aproveitou para divulgar seu filme Aposta Máxima. Confiram.
Everyone gambles. If you're risking something, you're gambling. And if you're gambling, Block's the guy you want to see.
Welcome aboard.
Well, I'd never been in a movie quite like this, and when I read the script, I thought it reminded me of some of my favorite thrillers that I grew up watching, where all the characters are intelligent. It wasn't so easy to see who was good or bad, or right or wrong, and I like movies that kind of let the audience decide what they want to decide.
All things are possible.
Pretty much.
I think that it was material that was developed for the producer Leonardo DiCaprio to, in some shape or form, play one of the roles. And I can tell you, we didn't have any conversations about it, but I can tell you that it's you know, knowing that someone of that stature, in my opinion, has their name on it as a producer, it gets people's attention. So it's a great thing for all of us. I love the character. I thought he was smart. I love what he stood for, and I love the dilemma that he has throughout the movie. And he seems like he wants to do the right thing, but you know, at the beginning of the movie, the first thing you hear me say is, you know, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're gambling. You know, if you want to make, I think that's the way Richie looks at the world.
We have the greatest business model in the world. 700,000 players. We're doing $9 million a day.
Studying gambling and how addictive gambling can be, that's one of the main things that I did study for this role. Because at the end of the day, I think Richie is a gambler. It doesn't matter how smart you are. You know, it's a real addiction for some people. And I think what I've found in studying it is that you get to this place where you only see the potential. You don't see the bottom line. You only see the potential, and I think that's what happens. That's what happens to Richie, is that you get into this hole, and you know you have to gamble more to get out of it. So that's kind of why I loved him, is because he was an archetypal. He was an archetypal hero in that way.
I own you now.
The most difficult thing, you know, it's funny, when I first read this script, I said, I did this movie in time, where I'm running the whole movie, literally the whole movie, and I read the script and I said, you know, this is gonna be great because I won't have to be too physical. Like, it's a movie about a really smart guy and the online gambling world, and the next thing I know, you know, there was a whole week where I got a bag thrown over my head and handcuffed and, like, you know, and beat up for like a whole week, and I was like, of course.
People of this country would love to haul an American in as the face of corruption.
It also helped that I spoke to Ben, and he signed on to the movie around the same time I did, so that was a plus. And then the cast started to really shape together with Gemma and Anthony and everyone who sort of signed on to the movie after that. I feel really lucky to work with Ben at this point in his career, because I think we can all agree he's become a master filmmaker, extremely skilled filmmaker. And having him on set, he's a great actor, but he sees the movie from many different angles, and it's helpful. It's really helpful to have that, because that's all you want, is to know, you know, if you can know how, for instance, how the movie's going to possibly be edited, it'll inform a lot of what you do for the character. And so having him on set in that way was extremely helpful. And to answer the second question, absolutely, without a doubt, I'd work with Ben if he wants to write something, if he wants to, you know, or if he just wants to go get a steak. I'll be there.
This is your job. You want a clear conscience? Go start a charity. But if you want your own island and your boss says you got to go out there and take a beating, go out there, take it, come back to work and say, do you need me to do it again?
I think I just got really lucky. I got to tell you, if anyone's interested in working here, if anyone's interested in working in movies, if you can get David Fincher to sign off on you, then you're good to go. I feel like things sort of really changed for me after that, and the projects that lined up after The Social Network, really, they were back to back to back to back, and so the opportunities felt right. And what happens is, because you're using so much of that time, I'm not in the studio making music. There will be I'm gonna be on tour for a year at least, starting at the end of October. So I don't know how I'd make a movie in that time, unless it was something that worked out where I could play a supporting role in something, and they could shoot me in and out in a very short period of time.
This is the house.
Why the house?
The house always wins, which is why we don't have to cheat people.
I'm not a big gambler. I have, it's something, in Vegas, my friends are around and we go sit at a blackjack table, and it's crazy how much time can go by, where all of a sudden you realize, like, I probably could have written a whole album in the time that I've sat here and wasted all this money. For me, in my experience and in my career, I just think success and failure and those things mean a different thing to me now. I don't worry so much about them, and I think you always just want to make a fresh choice. So in that respect, if that's your mentality about it, then maybe it's not. I don't know. Maybe it's not so much of a gamble. There are some specific dance moves that are a gamble now. I will say, being 32 now, that's the biggest gamble.
Foi isso então, pessoal. A gente espera que vocês tenham gostado e até a próxima. Um beijo. Tchau.